Ancient Chinese civilization was born and nurtured between two of the world's most powerful rivers. To the south, the lush and fertile Yangtze, and to the north, the mighty Yellow River, the cradle of the early Han people. During the Neolithic era, thousands of years ago, these river plains supported growing populations. The rich soil and abundant water allowed early humans to transition from hunters to settled farmers, producing huge food surpluses. In this prehistoric dawn, sophisticated societies like the Liangzhu culture flourished. They were pioneers in silk production and mastered the art of crafting jade and remarkably thin black pottery, showing the first signs of social hierarchy. However, life beside the great rivers was fraught with peril. Seasonal flooding was a constant threat, and when the levees broke, entire communities could be swept away in a single night, leaving behind nothing but sorrow. Ancient legends tell of Yu the Great, the legendary founder of the Xia dynasty, who spent decades mastering the floods. He organized the people to build vast irrigation systems and canals, transforming the dangerous rivers into a source of life. By subduing the waters and protecting the cities, the early leaders claimed the mandate of heaven. They governed not just by force, but by a divine right to rule, establishing the foundation of the first imperial dynasties. The Xia gave way to the Shang dynasty, a powerful and warlike civilization that thrived in the Bronze Age. They were masters of metallurgy, casting ornate vessels and weapons that symbolized their immense political and spiritual authority. The Shang were also the first in China to develop a structured writing system carved onto oracle bones and bronze. This innovation allowed for complex record-keeping and marked the true beginning of documented Chinese history. The Zhou dynasty eventually overthrew the Shang, ushering in an era of deep philosophical awakening. It was during this time that the foundational pillars of Chinese thought, Taoism and Confucianism, began to take root and flourish. While Taoism emphasized living in harmony with the natural world in the flowing way, Confucianism promoted social order, respect for authority, and an ethical life governed by reason and ritual. As the centuries passed, Zhou authority began to crumble. The empire fragmented into dozens of small competing states, leading to the chaotic Warring States period, a time of constant conflict, but also intense intellectual competition. In 221 BC, the state of Qin finally achieved the impossible, unifying the warring states under one banner. Qin Shi Huang declared himself the first emperor, enforcing a strict system of laws and centralized control over the entire nation. To cement his legacy, the first emperor launched monumental construction projects. He linked existing fortifications into the First Great Wall and constructed a massive underground necropolis guarded by thousands of terracotta warriors. But the Qin dynasty's harsh rule proved its undoing. Shortly after the emperor's death, peasant rebellions and military coups swept across the land, bringing a sudden and violent end to the empire's brief unification. From the ashes of the Qin rose the Han dynasty, which would govern for 400 years. This era became China's first true golden age, a period of prosperity and expansion that rivaled the contemporary Roman Empire in the West. The Han pioneered the Silk Road, opening vast trade routes that connected China with Central Asia and Europe. They exported precious silk, spices, and tea, while importing new ideas, religions, and exotic goods from distant lands. Following the Han's decline, the empire again fractured into rival kingdoms, most famously the Three Kingdoms. Decades of warfare and nomadic invasions left the country divided and the people longing for a return to unity. True unity was finally restored by the Sui dynasty, which built the Grand Canal, a massive engineering marvel connecting the north and south. This infrastructure laid the vital groundwork for the subsequent rise of the great Tang dynasty. The Tang dynasty represented the absolute peak of cosmopolitanism and cultural brilliance. Its capital, Chang'an, was the largest city in the world, attracting poets, artists, and merchants from every corner of the globe. However, even the greatest golden ages must eventually face decline. Internal rebellions, such as the Anlushan Revolt, and increasing authoritarianism eventually weakened the central government, leading to the Tang's inevitable collapse. After a brief period of fragmentation, the Song dynasty rose to power, focusing on intellectual and artistic refinement. This was an era of incredible invention, with the development of the magnetic compass, movable type printing, and gunpowder. In the 13th century, the Mongol storm broke over China, Led by Genghis Khan and later his grandson Kublai, the Mongols established the Yuan dynasty, incorporating China into the largest land empire the world had ever seen. Under Mongol rule, the Silk Road was safer than ever before, facilitating an unprecedented exchange of goods, technology, and culture between East and West, as famously documented by the Venetian traveler Marco Polo. The Ming dynasty eventually reclaimed the throne, restoring native Han rule and building the magnificent Forbidden City. They were succeeded by the Qing, a Manchu dynasty that expanded China's borders to their greatest extent in history. The early Qing dynasty was a period of stability and wealth, but by the 19th century, the empire faced a devastating crisis over the trade of tea and opium, as foreign powers began to exert immense pressure on the nation. British merchants flooded the Chinese market with opium, leading to widespread addiction and social decay. When the Qing tried to ban the drug, conflict erupted into the Opium Wars, signaling the start of a century of humiliation. The pressure finally reached a breaking point in 1911, when the Xinhai Revolution overthrew the Qing. The last emperor Puyi was forced to abdicate, bringing an end to over 2,000 years of imperial rule in China. China then transitioned through a turbulent period into a republic, and eventually, after decades of civil war and revolution, emerged as the People's Republic. Today, it stands as a global superpower, balancing its ancient heritage with a modern future. Our journey through the long and winding river of Chinese history ends here. Each dynasty left behind a legacy that continues to shape the identity of billions. Thank you for watching, and please remember to like and share to support our channel.